In the Locked On Jazz bracket of 8 for the 10th pick, it was a heated battle of Cody Williams versus Ron Holland. And the answer is yes on either of them. But I do have one I like a little more than the other. It's next on Locked On Jazz. Bum 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 pow.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider, and this is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Today, last night was our first battle in the bracket of 8 for the 10th pick of the NBA draft. We have two winners in. We have two brackets to be had today. We had a heated battle between wing players, Cody Williams and Ron Holland. And so I went back and watched both of them last night. And my answer on both of them is yes. I'll take either at 10. I do have a preference. It matches your preference, but it's not clear cut. And it's not that bad a draft if we get one of those two guys in this draft. We'll take a look at those two guys. We'll look at today's matchups of Nikola Topic versus Devin Carter, Dalton Kneckt versus Jared McCain, and then we'll take some NBA look at the finals, as well as some interesting note in expansion of the NBA. And the Lakers believe in Laker excellence and get pie on their face again, and nothing makes us happier. It's all coming up on today's edition of Locked On Jazz. I am David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider, and this is Locked On Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting platforms, apps, whatever you want to call them, and we're available on YouTube. Thank you very much for voting yesterday on X at DLock09, voting on the community tab on YouTube as well, and those who voted on Reddit. All right. Here was the big story yesterday. Cody Williams against Ron Holland. Cody Williams is the freshman out of Colorado, had a brilliant start to his season. Was watching the Colorado Cal game. It was Williams' first game back from injury, and the commentators were saying he could be the number one pick. He's been a highly thought of top-level freshman, came out wing player, very good body and size. Or actually very good length, not very good size, very, very skinny. So he's about 6'6.5", 180 pounds right now. His wingspan 7'1". His brother is Jalen Williams went to Santa Clara, who's the star for Oklahoma City. And it does look as though Jalen Williams stole all of Cody Williams' food. So who knows? Ron Holland is the number 2 high school player in the country. 6'6.5", 200 pounds, wingspan is a little less. Looks to me, I mean, every single aspect of him looks exactly like Harrison Barnes. I cannot tell you his body form, his kind of hunched overness, everything about him looks like Harrison Barnes. Okay, here's what our vote result was yesterday. Oh, I should have probably added this in a little banner for you guys. It would have made it easier. Yesterday's vote result was on YouTube or on X. Williams wins it. Williams wins 55% to 45% over Holland. On YouTube, it's a little closer. Williams 53% to 47% overall. So that's the end result right there. Williams beats Holland in both the polls. On Reddit, interestingly, it was pretty demonstratively toward Williams. Those are just comment sections on a nice person who posted up on the Utah Jazz subreddit. So I agree. But my takeaway watching both of them was, yeah, if we get either of those guys at 10, I'll take it. And my other takeaway was both those guys are 10th picks of any draft. Like, one of the narratives that I've been hearing about the most is this idea that if you're taking the 10th pick, you're really getting a 20th pick. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Like, Cody Williams, 6'6.5", with these kind of skills and these lack of skills, is a 10th pick. And Ron Holland, with this kind of body and this kind of athleticism and this lack of shooting and touch, is a 10th pick. Right? Xavier Williams was, I think, a 9th pick. Like, if you go back and look through the NBA draft in the last few years, these are absolutely the players that go in this range. That was really, truly probably my biggest takeaway watching both these guys is these are 10th picks. Quite honestly, like, Taylor Hendricks is a little bigger and longer than these guys, but like Jett Howard was an 11th pick last year. Jarice Walker was an 8th. Bilal Coulibaly was not that different than these guys. He was the 7th pick. In fact, they're maybe all an inch or two longer than that. Dyson Daniels is probably going to be a bust, but he was an 8th pick. Johnny Davis is a bust. He was a 10th pick. This is not like. This is where some of this stuff about Zaire Williams, Memphis, was the 10th pick. James Bouknight, a bust, the 11th pick. Like, James Bouknight should worry us on Ron Holland because James Bouknight couldn't shoot. And we'll see if those guys ever come around. Here's my thought on Ron Holland. His body's elite. He looks like an NBA player. He has all the right pieces. He was the number 2 high school player in the country. He played in a disastrous environment last year. Like, I watched one of the G League games last night, G League Ignite in Vegas. There might have been 22 people there in Henderson, Nevada. Like, the announcer and the woman who was doing color with him, who was a Las Vegas Aces players, were 2 of 20 people there. The environment couldn't be worse to play basketball. That's why they've canceled G League Ignite. Furthermore, they were down 20 in like every game. Third of all, nobody was sharing the ball. Like, there was a 7-possession stretch where Ron Holland went up and down the floor and never touched the ball. Okay, like, let's just stop. This is terrible. I'm not sure that I can look at anything Ron Holland's doing in G League action and look at it and use it as evaluation. What I can see is that I saw him jump a passing lane and then out dribble everybody for the other length of the floor for a dunk. Okay, that's elite athleticism. That's NBA style. I saw him miss a ton of layups at the rim. That's a little worrisome. He has a serious lack. Seemingly, he can get to the rim. He bullies someone. He kind of looks like Jonathan Kuminga a little bit in that sense, that he's just bullying people to the basket. He's not as big or strong, but that's his style of play. And then he gets to the rim and he's not finishing. Well, that's just gets to be a really easy question. Someone's got to figure out is that because he has no touch, which is concerning, or is that because of the fact that he is just playing against grown men? He's 18 years old. He's getting bumped around. As he gets taller, he's going to start finishing, because if he does, he'll be really good. His rim finishing was in the 55th percentile last year. He had 271 rim shots. The dude got to the rim all the time in the G League. I didn't hate him. I mean, his shooting's bad. Like, it's a problem. But there's a lot I liked out of him. 271 shots at the rim, 93 pick and rolls, him getting to the basket. His spot up percentile is in the 30th percentile. That's concerning. His overall catch and shoot was 21 of 79 last year. That's a problem. It doesn't look good. But you know what? Cody Williams airballed a corner 3 when I was watching, and his off the bounce game was 22 of 31 in the 17th percentile. Those are really, really frightening numbers for Ron Holland. And maybe those numbers, and I actually am kind of on the edge of doing a super deep dive on numbers. There's a chance I'm going to lock myself in my office for 2 or 3 hours today and just go deeper into these numbers and keep doing them. And I'm believing in them more and more. And if you believe in them more and more, I've got to find more data to prove that I'm right and do some things with that. So I think I'm going to probably do that and fill in some gaps of our research and see what we can find on this, because do I really think that if someone's in the 18th percentile of shooting, I can't draft them? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe I'll have zero, if I can go 5 or 10 years back, have zero track record of anybody who's done that in their year before coming into the league, being a good player, then I'm going to pass. But as of right now, what I watched on Ron Holland, I'd say yes, and I'll take Cody Williams over Ron Holland. Just more bursts. Just little plays. Like, I want a player when I watch them to jump off the screen. A rebound, reaching over two guys, grabbing it and pulling it out. That kind of thing matters to me from Cody Williams. His dribble drive game, he had two interesting plays to me. One, he drove in, totally in control, stopped, passed it out. Super interesting. Then he shows this great burst, gets through this gap, and then has no idea how to slow himself down, how to stop, loses it, turns it over. But the first part of that, the burst through the two guys for the gap at 6'6", like, that's the pieces that are going to become something that you can't teach. And then can he get strong enough body-wise, physical strength, because he does look like Jalen stole his meals, to collect himself, get strong, learn the fundamentals, come to 2 feet, make a play out of that when he's going at that speed. So he kind of knows he's supposed to do it, and that's my point of the two plays. One is when he was a little slower, he's in there, he's in control, he comes, there's no room because that Lampkin kid who's 300 pounds is sitting in the middle of the paint on every play, and he collects himself and he makes the play. And then he bursts, and he has the burst, but then he can't control it on the backside of the burst. I thought that was pretty interesting. The biggest difference to me between Cody Williams and Ron Holland, and why I would take Cody Williams over Ron Holland, is Ron Holland never showed me he could move his feet defensively to recover. He got beat defensively a ton. Okay, they're 18. I don't care. But Cody Williams was able to move his feet after getting beat and recover. Ron Holland would get beat and just get beat often. And, and Cody Williams was able to move his feet defensively to get back into the position. And his on-ball defense is really good. His footwork on that is superior to Holland's. And so if you got two similar sized bodies, Cody Williams a little bit better shooter. He's a little bit better moving his feet. Holland's body is more mature and makes you feel more comfortable. But if I have to, I'm probably going to go with Williams. Cody Williams showed me all of the little flashes along the way, which is what a 10th pick does. Yeah, if he's the 5th pick of the draft, I agree. Or 4th pick of the draft, that would be a little but honestly, I think Ron Holland and Cody Williams might be more ready to play than Taylor Hendricks was. When I watched Taylor Hendricks last year, at this point, 9th pick of a draft, I saw a guy run the floor. I saw him sprint. I saw him jump. I saw him shoot. I was like, okay, I'm taking him 9th if he's available. Can't play. Can't play yet. Gets in the way on spacing and everything. Defensively, it's just he's around, but he's blocking shots. But no, can't play. Knew it. Wasn't announcing me. Thought he was ready to play. Ron Holland, if he actually could shoot, could play tomorrow. His body's huge. He was totally ready. Cody Williams probably physically isn't quite ready, but he's close. Really interesting. If either of those guys are available at 10, we're good. That's a good night for the Jazz. If Cody Williams or Ron Holland at 6'6", and I think the other thing we should talk about there is routes to playing time. Routes to playing time. And it's super important if you draft a guy that has multiple routes. Amongst other things, the problem with drafting Udoka Azubuike was there was only one route for him to play, and it had to be usurping Derek Favors and Rudy Gobert. It just was never going to happen. But if you draft a guy who's 6'6", both Holland and Williams handle a little bit. They could probably play a little 2. They could probably play a little 3. Holland could probably slide down in a small lineup and battle and switch 1 through 4 if he had to. He's just big. He's Harrison Barnes. I'm telling you, he's Harrison Barnes. He might be an inch or two shorter than Harrison Barnes, but he's Harrison Barnes. So I think when you look at both those guys, I'd be really, really pleased if that's what came across for the Jazz. All right, we have 2 matchups tomorrow or today for you to vote on. An advance. Ron Dillingham advances, which I would not have voted, and I'll explain why. And our first look at kind of our late pick and what we should do in that area here in the draft. That's all coming up as we're just getting started here on today's edition of Locked On Jazz. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. Murdoch Hyundai is first of all, it's the Murdochs. That's 85 plus years in Utah, giving you the best of what they've got to make sure that you get a fabulous experience. And then it's Hyundai, which bought 3 of them, so I'm kind of in on the whole Hyundai thing. The Ioniq 5 is the one I'm driving the most right now. That's our electric car. We have 2 Santa Fe's as well. They both have just churning around at 80,000 miles without any problems at all, giving us just been absolutely fabulous for us across the board. So if you're looking for a new car today, I would strongly suggest look at the Hyundai. You can decide whether you like it, but for the money, the bells, the whistles, the features, the safety features, there's no question you should be looking at a Hyundai. And then you can decide whether you like it. Maybe you want a car with a bigger status symbol. That's good. You do that. Maybe it's not what you want. That's good. You do that, but take a look. And if you're going to stop by Murdoch Hyundai, why don't you email me first at dlock09@gmail.com, and we'll give you that VIP experience that you deserve for being a Locked On everyday. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel, making every moment more. That's right. Summertime means baseball, NBA Finals. You can do it all at FanDuel right now. Go to FanDuel.com/locked-on, and new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use for everything from the NBA Finals to who's going to hit one out of the park. FanDuel.com/locked-on to win your Summit bucket list. FanDuel.com/locked-on, $200 in bonus bets. Phillies and Red Sox starts in about 9 hours. They've got a fun money line game going on there. Whether the Phillies win, Kyle Schwarber hits a home run, Bryce Harper gets a hit, all sorts of fun stuff. Major League Baseball lines across the board. NBA Finals, Dallas is a 1.5-point favorite at home against the Celtics for Game 3. That would swing the series. And my guy, Drew Holiday, is now plus 600 instead of plus 10,000 or whatever it was for the NBA Finals right now. Keep an eye on that. Or what about if you had the guts to bet Dallas to win it right now? What do you think you'd get for that? I don't have it. Yes, I do. Dallas is plus 640 to win the series right now. That's all at FanDuel.com/locked-on. So thank you very much for listening to Locked On Jazz, where we have the bracket of 8 players for the top 10. And the other bracket was a blowout. By the way, have you made the switch yet to Locked On Sports Today on your YouTube 24/7 or on Amazon Fire TV? Go grab and tune in to Locked On Sports Today. We'll have everything from UConn's reaction to Dan Hurley staying, to the Lakers' reaction to Dan Hurley not going. We'll have the reaction of both our NBA Finals and Stanley Cup final teams going on today. It's all fabulous. Plus our great NFL shows for you. Peacock and Wiliams, it's always on right about this time of day when I'm recording, and there they are right there for me this morning as well. All right. It's Locked On Sports Today on YouTube as well as on Amazon Fire TV. We're hoping to get more locations for you shortly. Teaser. All right, so we did our first vote. Rob Dillingham is kind of the number 1 seed. Gets by. I honestly would not have voted for Rob Dillingham just because I don't think I could vote for a 6'1", 170-pound guard. And you know what? If you think that is the stupidest thing you've ever heard, I don't think you're totally wrong. But the voting was very one-sided. 78% to 22% Rob Dillingham defeated Jacoby Walker on our YouTube vote, and on X it was equally similar to that. And I think you're all probably it's not what I would do. Like if I was just a GM and voting for drafting and doing those kind of things, Dillingham won 71. It's interesting how similar these are, by the way. Dillingham won 71% of the Twitter vote and 78% of the YouTube vote. And Cody Williams won 55% of the Twitter vote and 53% of the YouTube vote. So it's interesting how similar those are. And we'll put up our next ones today. But so I would have taken Jacoby Walter and probably over, I think Dillingham's going to be an NBA player, and he'll be probably, I said this the other day, he's like Keon Ellis, but he's 5 inches shorter. Like he can really score it, but he doesn't D up like Davion Mitchell or something like that, staying in the Sacramento theme. Jacoby Walter is 6'5" and has an NBA body. And I just would have voted that. Literally. You can decide how ridiculously stupid that is, but that's my take. Dillingham advances. He will face Cody Williams next in a really good second-round matchup that will be for you tomorrow on the show. All right, today you have 2 of them. Nikola Topic, who is the Serbian, I think I have that right, having just been there for vacation. I do want to make sure that I'm right when Serbian, understanding that more than I ever have before, is a Serbian 6'6" guard, now without a 7-foot wingspan. His arms got cut off and he's lost 5 inches of wingspan. Just everyone seems to have misreported it. Or somebody has. And he's got a torn ACL. He was at one point thought to be possibly the number one pick of the draft. He's going up against Devin Carter. This is a super interesting matchup, and we'll let you vote on it later today on both YouTube and X, or if somebody would be nice enough to throw up the Reddit feed again, that would be great and have your thoughts. And Devin Carter is at Providence after a year at South Carolina, and he is a 3-year college player, and he's old. He's listed at 6'2 and a half, 6'3", but he's big, but strong. I thought he looked like Jalen Brunson light. Like, he's not Jalen Brunson, but he had a lot of those characteristics. He went from being a 30% three-point shooter in his first 2 collegiate years to a 38% three-point shooter. So that would be the first thing you better figure out about Devin Carter, is whether that three-point shooting jump is real. The other one you better figure out if it's real, because if it is, then he is a tough you-know-what, and you want him, is he grabbed 9 rebounds a game in college. Wow. Some of these guys are interesting because on Kevin Pelton's, in April, Kevin Pelton put out his projecting the 30 best prospects for the NBA draft, numbers-wise, and Donovan Clingan was 1, Reed Shepherd 2, Alex Sarr 3, Zach Edey 4, Zach Rochache was 5, Jacoby Walter was 6, and Rob Dillingham was 7. Furpy of Kansas, who we don't have, was 8. Topic was 9. Castle was 10. Collier was 11. McCain was 12. Keyshawn George, who is my disaster draft pick by the Jazz. I'll have to watch him, and I'm going to just thrash him. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to just say everything about his game is terrible so the Jazz don't draft him, because I can't have Keontae and Keyshawn George playing on the same team. Filipowski, and then, so for some of the guys we're talking about here, Ron Holland was 19th. Devin Carter was 20th. So they did not come out particularly well in the numbers. Cody Williams came out terribly. He was 27th, and Pelton's system is pretty good. So it's worth kind of, remembering that in Pelton's system. Our other matchup is Dalton Kneckt, who I do not, if I remember on Pelton's numbers, I'm not even sure came into the top 30. I'll have to check that again, against Jared McCain. This one's interesting, really, because there's a huge age component into this. Kneckt, I do not think even made Pelton's top 30 because of the age and how late he prospered. Kneckt makes me super nervous because of that. That might not be fair, but because he's 23, and maybe it's because he's from Fargo, North Dakota, and no one knew who he was, and maybe he'll be Duncan Robinson, and he's about the same size as Duncan Robinson. He better really shoot it if he's going to be Duncan Robinson, because Duncan Robinson's had an awesome career. So if he's Duncan Robinson, that'd be great. The one thing is that Duncan Robinson is 6'7", and Kyle Korver is 6'7", and Doug McDermott is 6'8", and Dalton Kneckt is 6'5". Is he 6'6"? We're going to give him 6'6" because he had 6'5" with shoes. 6'6". Does it matter? Does that 2 inches matter? Maybe. So there's like Dalton Kneckt, to me, I just wish he was 2 inches taller. I mean, there's plenty of guys. It's interesting. I didn't know this. I always thought Doug McDermott was 6'8". I just looked it up. He's listed at 6'6". Now, McDermott was the number 1 high school player in the country. He was 11th pick of the draft, so maybe. College player in the country at the time. I know a scout who dramatically thought Doug McDermott should be the number 1 pick. So that's the model. Like, can he be Doug McDermott? Can he be? Yeah, maybe. Maybe he can. He's going up against Jared McCain, who's one of my favorites in the draft. And if you missed it earlier, my analogy on Jared McCain, who played a single year at Duke. He is old, though. We talked about this yesterday. Jared McCain is a full year older than everyone else in his class. His parents didn't just hold him back because he was a November baby. They held him back as a February baby. So he is flat out old. He literally was a 5th grader playing 4th graders, a 6th grader playing 5th graders, a 10th grader playing 9th graders his entire life. He's not like Shabazz Muhammad, who was 2 years old, but he didn't do something funky along the way, by the way. He just literally started high school an entire year late, or started school an entire year late. Born in February of 20, and he's 20 years old after his freshman year. He has got all the accolades, though. He was Nike Hoop Summit. He was California Mr. Basketball. He was Jordan Brand Classic. he was McDonald's All-American, but maybe we all would be if we were, right? No, actually, I wouldn't. But you got my point. All right, so that's your matchups for tomorrow. I watched Jalen Tyson, who is an interesting player for the Jazz to consider at 28 and 32. He's out of Cal. His backstory is he goes to Texas, so he's a big-time recruit out of Plano, Texas. He goes to Texas. He doesn't play much his first year. He plays 8 games, and he goes into the portal. He goes to Texas Tech, where he originally had committed, and then he leaves Texas Tech having played 31 games, starting 31 games, shooting 40% from 3, so pretty interesting, under racial coach. Did coach racially abused him, I guess, verbally, and got fired. And so then he got an exemption and went to Cal. And at Cal, he played 34 minutes a night. He shot 36% from 3 with a high volume under Mark Madsen. He is a tough player. Like, you talk about guys that like contact and are willing to take contact. This kid is that. It's pretty interesting. Like, his numbers are pretty good. His vertical jump came out. His wingspan 6'8". He's listed, I think, at 6'6". He plays a little smaller, frankly. Like, he seems a little hunched over and plays smaller. He's tough as hell. Like, he is body bumping everyone every second of every minute of every second. Like, defensively bumping, dead ball bumping, driving, wants contact. Powerful. A little Bryce Sensabaugh-esque offensively. In fact, a little taller than Bryce, but stunningly similar to Bryce Sensabaugh, which is what's going to start to get really tricky for the Jazz here, is that you have these players and you're suddenly, if he's going to play, he's going to have to suddenly play instead of Bryce Sensabaugh. And then how do you figure this out? And this is where you're just drafting too many players. Another one where my feeling was why not on this kid? I found myself seeing a lot of things. His handle is loose. He's powerful at the rim, though. He does a lot of things really, really well. Tomorrow, I will have the numbers on the collection of 8 players we talked about yesterday that are all going to be available for the Jazz between 28 and 32, and we'll look at their numbers on tomorrow's show. All right, we'll run around the NBA, some news and notes. Third team for expansion, the one the NBA really wants. That's next on Locked On Jazz. Today's show is brought to you in part by BetterHelp. BetterHelp gives you the edge, the performance enhancing you need via convenience, flexible online therapy. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Here's how BetterHelp works. As I just said, it's online therapy. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, BetterHelp might be the way for you to get it done. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. Switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. That single thing right there might be the most convenient of all. So I see therapy as performance enhancing. Okay. So we all have our little things to try to make ourselves better. Mine right now is I get up every morning and I do yoga and meditate and do all this morning stuff to try to calm my brain and be comfortable with silence and be comfortable in peace and hopefully a little calmer, which seems really counterintuitive to who I am, but it's all the same thing. I'm just trying to get better. Therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and figure out how to work through whatever's weighing you down, whatever cycle it is that's causing you problems. So BetterHelp is here for you. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today gets you 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Hopefully make the switch to Locked On Sports today. I'm just getting the reports. Today on the hockey shows will air about 1:50 Mountain Time on Locked On Sports today. And the NBA shows will start around 8:45 in the morning. So we launch this around 8:30 every single morning on YouTube, beforehand on audio. So there'll be kind of an NBA run of Mavs, Celtics, Lakers coming your direction there for you. So keep an eye on that. All right. If Adam Silver had his choice, the NBA would not expand to Seattle. It would not expand to Vegas. It would expand to Mexico City. I've said this forever. I know this for a fact. Mathematically, it's a major numbers game for them. And he dropped it again. I keep hearing that Vegas is having problems with their arena, that there are problems going on in the Vegas arena. Obviously, Seattle is ready. Don't be stunned if expansion gets delayed enough for them to decide that they're going to Mexico City. I think Mexico City is as much of a play for the NBA, so much so that they would hate to expand to Seattle and Vegas and close the door on their next expansion and lose to, they would rather wait to see if they can get Mexico City to work. I have no idea if NBA players are willing to do that, but that's, I'm certain of. The Lakers missing out on Dan Hurley, to me, is a sign of the Lakers just still believe in Lakers excellence. They believe the minute they ask, someone's coming. That LA is that flashy that they're, and they missed. Should never let that out. You never have to let that high profile and have this kind of egg on your face. But they always do. Because they seem to believe it. It's why there's a real chance that trade that right now feels very one-sided, where we gave up Mike Conley and Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt and all these players and all these various different things. For the Lakers, first-round pick that's like top 4 protected might turn out to be the best pick we have in our whole group. By 2029, the Lakers could be a complete disaster. There's a real chance that pick, that play by Justin Zanuck on that night, which has probably still been criticized more than any other deal, why would we give up this and that and what? That deal and that pick really might truly turn out to be the best pick the Jazz have of their collection. It's an interesting discussion. We probably should have it because you know what the truth is that every NBA team has ranked our picks and and the Jazz have ranked their picks. It's actually 2027, not 2029, 2027. So I think that's like, there's a real chance that's our best pick. Like if we were trading for a player right now and you were another team, we'll talk about this tomorrow maybe. Which one of our picks do you want? I might want Lakers 2027. Might be the best one we got. Interesting note. This kind of goes back to the way I thought Minnesota defended Dallas correctly in game 1 and then switched out of it, is that Dallas has 198 corner threes through 3 rounds of the playoffs. They have 8 so far in the series against Boston. They're able to switch, and they're able to hold, and they've given up 1 dunk. 1 lob dunk. That is Locked On Jazz today. Thanks so much. Go vote today for Toppich or Carter, Kneckt or McCain. We'll have our first semifinal matchup on Wednesday, which is going to be Cody Williams versus Rob Dillingham. That'll be really fun. And then on Thursday, we'll have that matchup, and Friday, we'll have the finals of our Draft 8. We'll do the numbers tomorrow on the players that will be floating around 28 to 32. I promise you I'll have that completed tomorrow here on Locked On Jazz. Thanks so much for being a part of the program. Thank you for being an everydayer. Greatly appreciate you. We now send you the first ever 24/7 national sports channel. It is Locked On Sports Today. If you're on audio, jump over to YouTube and look up Locked On Sports Today and throw it up.